What's going on, Vikings fans? Welcome to the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Seatman, and we are here giving you guys our official preview as the Minnesota Vikings and Pittsburgh Steelers square off in Week 4. Not in the States. We're going across the pond to Dublin, Ireland for this matchup. It's going to be a lot of fun, and some topics we'll be discussing on today's show. We're going to be deep diving into the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're a 2-1 football team. The record's solid, but they haven't been playing good football. So we'll dive into the Steelers, talk about how they have found success, and also talk about some parts of the game that they definitely need to improve on, and then also talk about the Vikings season so far. How are they shaking out? We do have some big-time injury news on Vikings left guard Donovan Jackson. Then I'll get you guys my 5 keys to victory and then my score prediction to round out today's show. But before we do so, if you guys could hit that subscribe button today. We are taking on our Steelers Talk channel here at Chat Sports, and we are doing a race to see which channel can get 100 subscribers first. So if you guys want to help me out, help me beat Steelers Talk in this race to 100 subs, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button so far. And once you guys are subbed to the channel, just hit me with a skull down below in the comments section. All right, let's dive into the Steelers here. So the Steelers, like I said, they're 2-1 on the season, but it's been an interesting year for Pittsburgh. I think it's been the most Mike Tomlin-esque start in Pittsburgh Steelers history, where they're winning some football games, but are they necessarily playing good football? We'll try to decipher it here on today's show. But they beat the New York Jets in a shootout in Week 1. Was one of the best games of the week. They won that game 34-32. Chris Boswell hit a 60-yarder to give the Steelers the lead late in that contest. And then they lost their Week 2 matchup against the Seattle Seahawks at home. But then they also followed that up and beat the New England Patriots 21-14. But let's dive into the Steelers offense here first. So they have been struggling. Only putting up 24 points a game, which is 12th in the league, but they haven't been able to move the ball at a high level. Yards per game, they're 30th. Pass yards per game, they're 24th. But the main problem with the Steelers offense, they can't run the football. Teams are showing them a lot of too high, and if teams are showing you a lot of too high, unless you have an elite quarterback, it's probably going to be tough to throw the ball. And how do you get teams out of that defense? You run the football, and the Steelers have yet to be able to do that this season. They're only averaging 63 rushing yards per game on the ground. But let's talk about the quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. The raw numbers look fine with Raj. He's got 7 touchdowns, 3 picks, but the advanced analytics are not in favor of Aaron Rodgers. His ADOT, average depth of target, is 5.8 yards. Big-time throws, he only has 2 on the season, which is 2.2%. He's actually got 5 turnover-worthy plays, which is 4.8%. His adjusted completion percentage is solid, but a lot of underneath stuff, a lot of screens for the Steelers offense, and his actual EPA per play is in the negative so far. But the biggest concern with the Steelers offense is not with Aaron Rodgers. It is with the run game 100%. And they have not been able to run the ball whatsoever this season. So it's kind of tough to evaluate the Steelers offense because I do think it will look a lot better if you're able to get a consistent running game. But Week 1 against the Jets, 20 carries, 53 yards, nothing there. Still won that game. Week 2 against the Seahawks, 21 carries, 72 yards, a little better, but still nothing to write home about. And then even Week 3 against the Patriots, 26 carries, 64 yards, 2.5 yards per clip, but you still won that football game. So it's almost a credit to the Steelers. You have been such a bad rushing offense, but you're still 2-1 somehow. And after going back and watching the Steelers offense a little bit more, here are just a couple of things that you guys should keep your eyes out on. They have shown a reluctancy to throw the ball down the field unless it's just a DK Metcalf fade. They'll run DK Metcalf on a lot of fades, a lot of streak routes. That's really the only time they're throwing the ball down the field. Besides that, it's like a random deep post to Calvin Austin. But you will see this. A lot of multiple tight end sets. I'm pretty sure out of 53 offensive snaps for the Steelers this past weekend, they had multiple tight ends out there, 35 of those 53 snaps. So that's something to keep an eye out on. Now also Aaron Rodgers, if he has a clean pocket and he is on time and in rhythm, he can still make a lot of throws. But he also can't move right now. If you get him off his spot, he is a very limited athlete, obviously at this point in his career. So he can't move like he used to, which has also allowed the Steelers offense to just set up a lot of screens, trying to get the ball out quick to Calvin Austin, give it to DK Metcalf, but also 0 running game. So it's a lot of underneath stuff. They're not really throwing the ball down the field too much because they're getting a lot of too high, but they can't get defenses out of too high because they can't run the football. So just offensively, a lot of struggles early on here in the season for Pittsburgh. But defensively, probably the most concerning part from a Steelers fan's perspective is you thought this defense was going to be one of the best in the NFL. Most people did, but it just hasn't looked like that so far. They're almost giving up 400 yards per game, which is 29th in the league. They're getting gashed on the ground as well, giving up 140 rushing yards per game, giving up 25.7 points per game, and third down percentage, not good as well, 46.3. But the Steelers' defense has been able to force a lot of takeaways. They have forced 8 takeaways this season, which I believe is second most in the league behind the Jacksonville Jaguars, but they have 3 interceptions. Now, I will say, I think takeaways are a combination of luck and skill. The fumble recoveries for the Steelers, they have 5 in 3 games. That is lucky. Like, that is a trend that won't continue throughout the entire year. Yes, you can force a lot of fumbles, but a lot of the time it's just, where is the ball bouncing? Steelers have just gotten the benefit of the doubt in that department. But still, this defense can take the ball away. And obviously the Steelers defense has not been good so far. But also they just have the personnel to turn it around. Like, I find it hard to believe, like, all those stats we were just showing you, the ranked 25th, the 30th in every major statistical category. I find it hard to believe that that's going to maintain through the entire season. One, TJ Watt, he's going to be a lot better than what he's shown for the first 3 weeks. Cam Hayward's still a solid player. They got Jalen Ramsey in the secondary now, and just plus with Mike Tomlin on top of it, their defensive coordinator, Terrell Austin, like, they should be a lot better than what they've shown. They got some playmakers over there. But so far for the first 3 weeks, the Vikings offense, at least just on paper right now, just for the 2025 season, should have some success against the Steelers defense. So I'll ask you guys this. Who you got in this matchup? Give me a V for the Vikings or give me an S for the Steelers. Who's winning this game in Dublin, Ireland? You guys, let me know your thoughts down below. Give me a V for the Vikes or give me an S for the Steelers. All right, now let's talk about the Vikings 2025 season. Just like how I was saying, the Steelers year started off in the most Mike Tomlin-esque way ever. The Vikings season probably started off in the most Vikings-esque way ever. Now, we're going to start off defensively because that's been the MVP of the team, the best unit for this football team. The defense has been awesome. 6 in yards per game, 3rd in passing yards per game. Now, you see the rushing yards per game stat. I think this is incredibly skewed. I think this is obviously the Falcons ran all over you, and that defense was out there on the football field a whole lot. But I think if they get more support from their offense, they're probably going to be top 5 in damn near everything this season. They're already down the top 10 in points per game, and they're top 5 in third down percentage. But also stopping the run, people thought it was going to be a big issue before the year. I understand the numbers look like it is an issue, but honestly, I feel like the Vikings have been pretty solid taking away. And for 2, main reasons being 2 guys in the interior. You have some young defensive tackles playing some great football. And I want to give a massive shout-out to Levi Drake Rodriguez and Jalen Redmond. Think about this. Levi Drake Rodriguez, he was a 7th-round pick. Jalen Redmond was an XFL player a couple years ago. And these 2 have been absolutely fantastic. Combining for 10 pressures, 5 tackles for loss. Their PFF grades have been amazing. So you're getting great production from the interior of your defensive line. But we also know it's not the bread and butter of the defense. It is the pass rushers. And these 3 have been fantastic. In pass rush productivity, according to PFF, this takes in a bunch of different sacks, pressures, sacks, quarterback hits, the whole 9. Out of 223 eligible edge rushers, the Vikings have 3 in the top 17. Shout out to Dallas Turner. He's 11th. I was kind of stunned to see that, but Jonathan Gennard, top 10. Andrew Van Ginkel, top 20 there. And the Vikings defensive line, there's no doubt, it has been the backbone of this team so far this season. If you didn't have those guys up front wrecking havoc, the Vikings might be a 1-2 team. You probably don't win in Chicago. And also that guy right there, 58, Jonathan Gennard, 16 pressures so far this season. He's only got 1 sack. So if you just look at the raw numbers, like the forced fumbles, the sacks, you're probably saying Gennard's having a downish year. Couldn't be farther from the truth. Number 58, I think, has looked better than what he's done this past season. He's going to continue that, and the sacks will come. Like, I could see a game coming up here. Could be this weekend where it's like, oh, Jonathan Gennard had 3.5 sacks. He finally started to get home. But the pressures are good. He's setting the edge really well. He's great against the run. I remember it was funny last year I was saying the Vikings defense doesn't have a true blue chipper. I was completely wrong on 58. He is just that top 10 edge rusher in the league, and he's just been amazing. But offensively, up and down year for the Vikes. Obviously, total yards per game, not good. 290, that's 28th. Pass yards, obviously they've been struggling for the first 3 games. Didn't ask them to do a whole lot in their Week 3 game against the Bengals, so that's ranked 30th. But, hey, rushing yards per game, top 12 in the league. Then points per game, 6. Obviously, it helps when you drop 48 in one of those games. But then third down percentage has struggled a little bit. But my favorite stat right here, So rushing yards per game. Shout out to Kevin O'Connell. We're moving up here over the last 4 seasons because, as we know, this has been my biggest gripe with KOC, not being able to consistently run the football. First 2 seasons, under 100 rushing yards per game. Last year, much better, up to 108. And now this year, you're up to 122, which is top 12 in the league. And obviously a big reason for that is Jordan Mason. But we're also going to get another Jordan back this week. Jordan Addison is making his return after that 3-game suspension, which is just going to open up this offense a whole lot more. Because obviously now you got to give some attention to the Vikings run game. You're already giving attention to Justin Jefferson every single play. And now you just sprinkle in Jordan Addison. We saw TJ Hawkinson get going last week. This offensive line is looking a lot better. This guy's impact will be felt right away. I promise you that. So shout out to number 3 for making his return this week against the Steelers. And welcome back, J.A., for us. Show Jordan Addison some love down below in the comments section. Type those 3s down below. Type his jersey number and welcome him back to this Vikings lineup. Cannot wait to see the best wide receiver do in the league. Get it done across the pond this weekend. Now, we'll dive into my keys to victory here in a second, but today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Now, you and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. If you guys download the Prize Picks app today, plug in promo code CONS. We'll hook you guys up with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks is super simple to play. All you got to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. And if you guys get your picks right, you could cash in. Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in more than 40-plus states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. They also put their users first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Prize Picks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. So check out Prize Picks. Got that link for you guys in the comment section and description of today's show. And download the app today. Plug in that promo code CONS. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CONS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. But shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, let's talk about some major injury news for the Vikings heading into this matchup. Rookie left guard Donovan Jackson had surgery on his wrist Monday morning. He suffered it back in week 2, played with it in week 3, but it is more likely than not that we won't see the rookie left guard until week 7 against the Philadelphia Eagles. But also KOC said it's going to be Blake Brandel filling in at that left guard spot. And Brandel, interesting player, because I actually thought Brandel was pretty damn good for the first 7 games. And these are his before and after splits from when Christian Darrisaw got hurt during that Thursday night game against the Los Angeles Rams. But when Darrisaw was out there, you'll take that production out of a backup left guard. 63.1 overall grade, only allowed 2 sacks, only allowed 10 pressures. But then we saw after that, he was giving up 3 pressures a game. He was giving up a half a sack a game. And, you know, he was decent, but obviously he was a net negative as a whole on that offensive line. And you're also going to get some more help on the offensive line back. Ryan Kelly, KOC, said he should be back this week. He obviously is dealing with a concussion, and he's had a history of concussions. So you're getting your center back, but now you're losing your left guard. Obviously unfortunate, especially Donovan Jackson. He showed a lot of flashes early on, but hopefully the Vikings will have him back week 7 against the Eagles. But speaking about the Vikings staying healthy here, if you guys want the Vikings to stay healthy, just go down there, hit that thumbs up icon, like today's show for us. Don't jinx it. Try to get some good vibes heading our Vikings players' way. And if you guys want them to stay healthy, hit that thumbs up button. All right, key to victory number 1 for me against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Win the turnover battle. And we're bringing back my favorite stat around the Minnesota Vikings head coach, and that being when the Vikings win or tie the turnover battle, they are 32-3, which is a 91.4 win percentage. The league average for that statistic is 66.5. That is a Kevin O'Connell stat. So especially when you're playing a Steelers team, where I think this Vikings team is better, if you just win or screw it, tie the turnover battle, you should win this game. And I'm calling my shot right now. We're just talking about the Steelers offense. Like to throw a lot of underneath stuff. They like to get the ball out quick, utilize the screen game. Obviously, we know Aaron Rodgers. He used to kill the Vikings with that quick passing game. I'm calling my shot right now. We're going to get our first Gink 6 of the season this weekend in Ireland, which also means we would have seen the Gink 6 in London and Ireland against Aaron Rodgers, and we'll see it in its 3rd ever country. So that's going to be my calling my shot this weekend. I got Andrew Van Ginkel, pick 6 against Aaron Rodgers. That would make me so happy. Hopefully that ends up happening. A little wishful thinking on that one, but I think he's got a chance. I had one last year against A-Rod. Hopefully he does it again this season. And speaking about Rodgers, number 2 for me, got to get him off his spot. Now, like we were saying earlier, the advanced analytics are in favor for the man, Juicy A-Rod, Aaron Rodgers. But I will say this. If Rodgers has a clean pocket, he can still kill you. He is an all-time great talent. I understand he is not near the guy he once was when he was in Green Bay. He couldn't be further from that guy. But that right arm is still there. Now, can he move like he did back in the Green Bay days? Can he, maneuver the pocket like he did back with the Packers? No. But if the Steelers are able to protect him up front, and he's a clean pocket, and he can just sit back there, dissect this Vikings defense, he can have a game. So you got to pressure him, and that starts with also stopping the run. Steelers can't run the ball. You shouldn't allow them to run the ball this weekend. That should force Rodgers into a lot of 3rd and 8s, a lot of 3rd and 9s. Then you let Flores get creative, show him the exotic coverages, and then you get home to him, bring him down, because he won't be able to, how Caleb Williams, week 1, kind of killed the Vikings defense, moving around, playing a little backyard football. Number 8 can't do that anymore. So get him off his spot. And number 3, let the Jordan Mason show continue. This guy is, I don't mean to throw a slight to guys like Dalvin Cook here, but he is my favorite Vikings running back I've watched since Adrian Peterson. Just a combination of power, speed, finishing runs, getting better throughout a game is fantastic. I told you guys this before the season. He is a top 10 running back. A lot of people are calling me crazy, saying I'm a homer. I don't know what I'm talking about. I truly believe it, and he's played like a top 10 running back so far this season. EPA per rush, 1st. Success rate, 1st. Yards per carry, top 5. Yards after contact, 7th. Rushing yards over expected, 2nd. All the advanced analytics prove that Mason's a top 5 guy. The eye test shows he's a top 5 guy. And now he's finally getting he's finally getting enough chances with Aaron Jones being out. I think he's just going to continue that this weekend. So you obviously got to establish a run. Then once you establish that run, let the best wide receiver in the game dominate. It's been a weird year for Justin Jefferson. He hasn't had that, truly Justin Jefferson-esque game. He was pretty good against the Bengals in limited chances. I thought he was about to house that one catch he had over the middle of the field. But the Justin Jefferson 2025 breakout game is coming eventually. Now, will it be this week against the Steelers? Who the hell knows? But also Jalen Ramsey likes to talk a lot of noise. I can see Jefferson taking that personal. And also if the Steelers, if you want to put 4 eyes on Jefferson, 6 eyes on Jefferson, roll the coverage his way, please do so. Because that would mean Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, the run game getting going. That's why the Vikings offense I think when they're fully clicking and everything is humming, between the pass game and the run game, this team is truly unstoppable. There's really not an answer to, solve that Vikings, to solve the problem that they force other defenses to face. And, lastly, don't beat yourself here. The Vikings are the better team. I understand you got a backup quarterback, but they're just better than the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're better heading into the year. You got a better defense. You got a better offense. But 2 things that can't happen this weekend. That's what I mean by don't beat yourself. Missed tackles and penalties. The Vikings offensively over the last 2 weeks have been driving me crazy. You are at home, way too many pre-snap penalties. That's got to get shored up. Now, is that having a backup quarterback, having a backup center in there? I'm sure that played a part in it. But also the missed tackles. The Vikings have been a fine tackling team so far this season. But the only way the Steelers beat you is if they have 1 or 2 plays where it's just a quick out to DK Metcalf, and he takes, it makes a guy miss, and he takes it up the sideline. It's like a 50-yard touchdown, or Calvin Austin makes a dude miss in the hole, and he takes it, or one of their running backs, forces a player to miss, and then they take it all the way. But if the Vikings play solid football, play your B+ game, you should get a win. And my score prediction, it's going to be the Vikings defense again. They're going to have another fantastic game. You can't let the Steelers offense get right this week. So I got the Vikings winning this matchup 24-13. I think it could maybe be a slugfest, kind of similar to the Jets game in London this past season, where it was just kind of choppy early on. No team could really get anything going. Then Van Ginkel had that pick 6, kind of opened it all up. But I think the storyline of this game will be the Vikings defense. So I got the Vikings 24-13. You guys let me know. Predict the score for me down below in the comment section. Vikings versus Steelers this weekend. Drop your score predictions down below. And we'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching. As always, Skol Vikes.